if you could go ahead and use the chat feature to introduce yourself, your organization, and then just what you're hoping to get out of this session. All right, as you're doing that, we're going to go ahead and just revisit some of the things that Sarah talked about earlier. If you want to just advance the slide one more time, Nicole. So as this is a really quick session today, only 45 minutes, we are a small group, but I'd like to invite you to keep your camera on, ask questions, and participate. Perfect. I'm kind of looking at some of the chats that we have here. So nice to see everyone. And hoping to learn more about the role that residents play in an opportunity culture model. I definitely think you'll hear some of that. Let's see, Nicole, do you want to read a couple more out?
Sure. Looks like Chris, hoping to see amazing residents and MCLs in action and excited to hear any feedback on their work. And then supporting MCLs and resident needs from Jesse Garcia. Bill, good to see you as well. Bill and I work closely, actually in some California work. So hoping to learn more about the role the residents play in the opportunity culture model. Absolutely. That's great.
Perfect. Yeah, we are absolutely going to get to those. I wish that the residents and multi-classroom leaders could be here with us today virtually, but they're teaching, so they can't be with us virtually today. But we definitely did some interviews with them and really asked some of those questions about what their role is. What does this look like and sound like on a day-to-day basis? So we'll be able to hear from them and their perspective. So our objective today is really to learn from the MCLs and residents regarding their implementation of opportunity culture residencies. Our agenda for this session, we're going to start off by doing a quick review of the role of the MCL and teacher resident. And then we're really going to jump into the videos to hear from the MCLs and teacher residents that are doing this work now. If you want it, perfect. So we're going to start out with the role of the multi-classroom leader. I know we have a pretty wide range in terms of the audience, so I want to just give you a quick refresh of what the role is of a multi-classroom leader. So that role includes co-planning and co-teaching with the resident, supporting, coaching, and offering high-quality feedback to not only the resident, but other team teachers as well, to participate in orientation and quarterly sessions with the site coordinator, which is that full-time faculty member from the university that lives in the community and works with the school partners to support the resident, to communicate with the site coordinator, and then regularly participate in professional development or PLCs and school-based professional development, and then other non-instructional duties as assigned by the administrator. So then if we hop over to the teacher resident role, the resident really does, as you had heard earlier in our time together today, get to experience that full year in the classroom from start to finish, where they'll have opportunities to be able to co-plan and co-teach with the MCL, as well as lead small group instruction. They lead instruction without the MCL present, so the MCL can go in and be able to observe and work with the other teachers. And then they also participate in PLCs and school-based professional development, along with other non-instructional duties as assigned by the MCL. So we want to get to the heart of why we're here today to really answer some of those questions that we saw in the chat, which was, what does this look like and sound like in action? So Nicole, if you can advance the next slide. Perfect. So we are going to hear from 4 multi-classroom leaders and 2 residents in Ector County and Midland who are doing this work right now. They're in their first year of implementation. Again, we wish they could be here with us virtually, but we got the next best thing. We got some pre-recorded interviews around topics like benefits, pitfalls to avoid, communication, relationships, and then any advice that they would provide. I want to give you just a little bit of background on these interviews. As a regional transformation support specialist, it was amazing to be able to meet with them and hear their stories. Even though this was done through Zoom and done virtually, at times I could even feel their connection between MCL and resident, even over Zoom. You'll notice that it's not like a traditional interview where they're sitting side by side. They still had to maintain social distance. So they're in two separate rooms when they're having these conversations and when we're asking these questions. But I really encourage them to be authentic and be honest in their responses. I had almost, I think, 2 hours worth of conversations to be able to pull from. And it was so hard to select the clips to share today because all of it was so rich. Also note that I did the editing myself on the videos, so it's not as high quality in terms of the splicing, but I hope it really captures the essence of the conversations that we had. And I'm just incredibly honored to share these experiences with you today. So let me introduce you to the multi-classroom leaders that we'll meet today for our recorded sessions. So from Ector County ISD, we'll be hearing from Brandy Fisher, secondary MCL from Ector County. Valerie Shreves from also from Ector County, 2nd grade MCL, and Crystal Gilbert, 5th grade MCL from Midland ISD. All of them, again, are in their first years as multi-classroom leaders. And again, I'm just so excited to be able to share their stories with you. You want to go ahead, we'll then introduce, if you want to click the next slide. We will then move over to the resident side. So we'll hear from 2 different residents, Cassandra Martinez in Ector County and Amber Molinar in Midland ISD in the residency program at UTPB. So before we jump into the videos, I want to provide a space to be able to capture our thinking as we're watching these videos. So we're going to use Jamboard to do that. As you're watching these video clips, we're going to ask that you respond to this question on Jamboard. What resonates with you in that video segment? Nicole and I will add the Jamboard link to the chat. And if you could go ahead and navigate to that now, I want to take just a minute to be able to show you how this tool works in case you haven't used it before. Perfect. So on the left-hand side, you'll see your toolkit. So you can respond with either a pen, sticky note, text box, or even an image that captures, again, what resonates with you in regards to that video segment. So in this first video segment that we're going to watch, it's going to be conversations around benefits of OC residencies. So you're going to, again, watch it and then respond to that question on what resonates with you on Jamboard. And so again, you can use your tools on the left-hand side, and we're going to be talking about what resonates to you regarding benefits. So Nicole, if we can go ahead and get started with our first video clip.
Balance that.
Is this the first one, Melissa? Is this the right one?
Yep, so you're just going to go all the way to the back. Go ahead and rewind, and we'll start from the very beginning. There we go.
Because I feel like Cassandra gated experience above what a student teacher typically gets. She got to dive into the classroom much faster at her own pace. She's very good at, because she's subbed before, she's a go-getter. She'll just watch one little thing and take off herself. And so we were able to move at an accelerated pace for her. And as an MCL, I got to help make that decision a little bit. Have where we started with a one teach, one observe, and then very quickly went into one teach, one assist, where she's up in the room, walking around, assisting students as well. And then very quickly, she actually took initiative to start some of that instruction on the side, where if a student was struggling, she might walk up and not just walk around to monitor, but to then jump right in and offer some instruction in a different way, possibly if they need it, or just to reinforce what was given. And so she has that ability to do that within the first month of school. She was already doing both of those. And then very quickly, she got into a co-teach situation where 2 people are teaching at the front. And actually there's days where there's 3 of us. Today, as a matter of fact, there were 3 of us in a room talking and working with students. So she's getting those experience where she's getting to be that co-teacher, which gives her an, you know, sometimes student teachers, the students don't recognize them as the teacher of the room. She is recognized as the teacher, as well as the other teacher. It's equal. There's not a one teacher, one student teacher. She's elevated to be a teacher in the room like everyone else. So she's actually in 3 rooms, and she actually has 3 mentors in a way. So being a part of a teacher resident really provides a different dynamic than just the one teacher, one student teacher.
Working as a teacher resident, I've been able to experience how it feels to be in a real school, and being like looking behind the scenes of what teachers are actually doing and how they're working for their students, making sure that they're prepared for the next year. And one of the really great opportunities is, instead of just being a regular student teacher, and balancing work on the weekends, I actually get to be paid for my student teaching, and I don't have to balance that, another job and school, as I'm doing right now. I have a great team of second grade teachers that are helping me prepare for when I have my own classroom someday. They don't just plan ahead. They let me be part of it and see how they go about planning and pulling out all the peaks and that sort of thing. They help me be prepared they challenge me. They don't just give me the answer, they challenge me to find how I'm gonna help teach the students, how I'm gonna reach them.
I think one of the benefits is it gives you the opportunity to experience what a full year is like. Whereas when you have a student teacher, they only experience it for about 6 weeks. This is an opportunity for them to start with us day 1 and see exactly what it looks like day 1 to the end of the year, which gives them an opportunity to see everything that goes on, how we build that classroom management, how we build those relationships with those students. And then it gives them the opportunity then to, you know, like Amber said, to learn from the mistakes or learn from us. So us being mentors and mentorees, it gives us the opportunity to give that instant feedback, that daily instant feedback right at that moment. And it helps build their confidence. So then when they go on to the next year, they have the 1 year underneath them to where they were able to build the confidence along with the students, learn with the students, so then they're ready to do it on their own.
Program are that we actually get to work side by side for somebody that has experience, and we also get opportunities to speak with different teachers too about what works and what doesn't work, and the communication. And the fact is that we're not alone, so we have somebody to step in if we actually make a mistake, but it's not to where it makes it uncomfortable when they step in and help. It's just like helping promote growth within us.
Planning and pulling out all the peaks and that sort of thing.
And they know that we both will be
that we're living in. Everybody had so
Oh, you're good.
many,
Keep on
you
going,
know,
Nicole. We can let you
ifs,
go on the
this-
benefits of students.
Sorry, say it one more time, Melissa.
You can keep letting it run for the benefits to students as well, and then we'll stop and we'll head to the next one.
Okay.
both will be there to support them, and that we're both here for the same thing.
Well, what
Keep going or stop?
If you want to stop it and then head back just a little bit, just so that we can hear about the benefits to students. So if you just scroll back just a little bit on it.
Here.
Yeah, let's try right there. So Nicole, we can't hear it right now. Okay, that's okay. While you work on that, we're gonna head over to the jam session and then we'll come
Yeah.
back to the video. Okay, guys, so and looking at some of the benefits and some of the sticky notes that we've already captured, if someone wants to go ahead and come off mute and talk to us a little bit about something that really resonated with you regarding some of the benefits that you heard about for residents.
Well, I just finished working with a student teacher who completed her university program, student teaching this semester, and She is struggling with student management. And I thought, oh my gosh, how wonderful. That's what most first-year teachers struggle with, as well as rigorous instruction. But that is a great benefit, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Charlotte. Anyone else in terms of something that really resonated with you around the benefits that you heard from both the MCLs and the residents?
I think from everybody's perspective is that you have, instead of just having one person that you learn from, you have a team that you learn from. It's not, you get lots of different ways of really learning your craft as a teacher. Because again, everybody teaches differently. And so different things will resonate with different teachers. And so I think it's really good that our residents get to see that.
Absolutely. And I think we heard that, right? It's almost like she has 3 mentors in the room, which I think is amazing to be able to hear all those different perspectives and get that support and feedback and coaching from all of those different people. Yeah. And I also I saw someone said +1 on the MCL can set the pace, which is fantastic, right? We heard her say that, that MCL is really going to have the most knowledge of the person that's sitting across from them. So they're going to be able to, yes, we're going to have those guides and those pacings, but different people are going to be ready for different things based on their readiness. So really being able to make those decisions as they see fit as well. Great. All right, Nicole, are we ready to keep on going on with our video?
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Either one of us, if they know one of us has a different way to solve a problem, can go to either one of us, and they know that we both will be there to support them, and that we're both here for the same thing.
This is okay. We're going to head into
what we did first. Okay, everybody was like, "What's this opportunity culture thing? I don't know what this is." This is kind of, the unknown is always scary, especially in the virtual environment that we're living in. Everybody had so many ifs this year, and this was another one. It's like, okay, we're teaching virtually and we have a pandemic, and now we have this MCL. What's this? So what I did is, I told you I was also a team lead for English too. So every day we have a PLC meeting. My team is a tightly knit team. And what I wanted them to understand from the get-go is exactly what my role was. I come in and I will help you work on lesson plans. I will help you desegregate your data. Let's analyze that data. How do we reteach? What are your needs in your specific classroom? And I told them that from the beginning, that I'm here to help you. And I also mentioned that I have a vested interest in you. I'm not here to tell you how to do your job. I'm here to truly be a partner, because ultimately your kids are my kids. It all falls under the responsibility of the MCL. Where I think a coach a lot of times can just go in and try to help, but there's not that tie, as far as we want to see the grades, we want to see the growth, we want to see the progress. And here there is that accountability. So by putting that up front and telling my teachers, here's what I'm doing, I'm partnering with you, I'm not a boss of you, I'm your partner in this. And I think that eased a lot of minds. I think a lot of people were like, oh, okay, I understand it now. You are here to help me and guide me and do it with me.
Have to be intentional about the time. And so we actually have scheduled time weekly where her and I have a scheduled time, and that's protected. That's one of the things that an MCL really need, and campus administrators need to be willing to do, is to protect that time. One of my biggest, most important things for me is that my teachers feel better about themselves when they leave than when they came. Whether that's the school year, whether that's the day, whether that's the week, whether that's the hour, lunch hour, whenever it is. And that same philosophy is my own student classroom. And so the first part of that is showing respect to them first before I even ask for it. And so setting that respectful environment and really setting those norms at the beginning of the year that promote confidence. You have to have confidence in your team. You have to have confidence in yourself. And so working to get both of those is really important. And like I said earlier, we eat lunch together. We actually go walking sometimes after school. We have a park next door. And we'll take a lap, all 4 of us, just to get out. And so finding time, especially with COVID, to laugh. We share our experiences.
It's kind of funny because sometimes they say I can automatically already tell what I need to grow on. So when they tell me their feedback, I'm like, yes, I know. And
that's what I was thinking about, because she always names her glow and her grow herself. We don't really have to name them a lot of times. She comes back with already knowing. And so that's that personal relationship, building that confidence in herself is really important, so that she feels like she can name things and be comfortable in that. And it's a great team. With COVID and things being crazy, we all eat lunch in my room because the students eat in their rooms. And a lot of days, you know, there's just that opportunity to talk through some lessons, or, oh, I wish I'd done this, or I like the way this happened. And so she gets feedback actually from all three of us and herself. I really want to point that out. She's really great at thinking through it herself. Starting from the administrative side, I can tell you that data-wise, that particular classroom that she's assisting with, this last test actually scored higher than the other in-person class as far as the 70% passing rate. The way we're second grade, so we don't have the approaches, meets, and masters labeled as easily, but we do have the 70% passing rate. And so it shows that having two teachers in that room is helping those students grow in not just growth overall, but growing faster than the typical classroom, even the virtual, but even the in-person, so that we're comparing both the in-person classes. We've noticed that. And then the other benefit is those co-teaching situations that we talked about earlier. That's possible all day, every day, except when our TRT is out of the room, but that's 30 minutes. So for the most part, you have two teachers and you have time to collaborate in real time.
Hi, this is Lucia Borrego. How are you?
One can take over and the other can step
Good.
back
Oh my God, I
second
can't
if
believe
they
you
need
answered.
to,
You caught me by
and
surprise.
observe
You know
those
that I've been
students
coming
better.
4 days
So
straight.
it's
Are you
better
guys
for
like
discipline,
super
it's better
busy?
for that student growth, and that student growth is.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I need your help, and I know it can be corrected.
Nicole, do you mind putting one of the participants on mute just so that we could hear the video?
She's really good at taking a lesson plan that we've worked on and actually walking through that as a teacher. Like, we will set, and she'll teach me. I'm the student, she's the teacher, and she's very confident in that. I think that's one of the most important things an MCL can do for a TR, is to help them feel confident enough to stand there adult to adult and go through a lesson, because we've changed some lessons totally. We even had to meet somewhere else one night because it was late. And so just totally going through everything and making sure that they're comfortable.
One of the things that I made sure was, when we got the opportunity to come set up our classroom, I offered her that. And I said, come work on the classroom. Let's set it up together. That gave me an opportunity to get to know Amber without being in a classroom setting, where it was more relaxed, where I got to know her as a person, she got to know me, and then we got to set up the classroom for us, for each other. So it became our classroom instead of her coming in and it's my classroom, the way I have it, the way I do things. We were able to go about it together and then make the decisions together, where then she showed that ownership, which was great. And then the text messaging, hey, how are you? Would you like to meet up? And then just getting to know her in general was a great way to build that relationship with her.
Relationship built just because from the very beginning we were honest, and we knew that if something was bothering either one of us, or we were having trouble with something, just to express it instead of letting anything build up, so that way it wouldn't lead into problems. And we know that people sometimes working together either butt heads or butt ideas, and so we know that, hey, I don't know about that idea, but let's try this one, or what do you think about this one? And it's just bouncing different ideas off of each other for different lesson plans. And I like that she was very open, because Midland doesn't usually do AVID strategies, and for the UTPB program we had to use AVID strategies. And she was very open for me to adding them to the lesson plan and asking ideas about it. Like, hey, what are some avid strategies we can use? Like, it was easy for her to adjust to bringing that into the classroom, even though she herself isn't familiar with a lot of the strategies that Avid does use.
When we have a question, if we're together, we make sure to automatically address it at that moment, or wait to the end of the day, or wait to the end of that actual lesson and be like, hey, so try this, or hey, did that work? Or hey, what can I help you with? But one of the things we've experienced this year was I had to quarantine twice and Amber's had to quarantine twice. So we had to have that communication because we needed to be able to, one of us was in the classroom, one of us wasn't in the classroom. So just automatically, hey, what do you need me to do? How do I log on? And it was a text messaging back and forth. I know one of the things that we talked about and we set up at the beginning was what are great times to talk text message wise or phone calls wise. When do we do that in the classroom? When do we do it at home? So we made sure to set that up. One of the things we said on the weekends, it's family time. And we said, if it's really important, we'll at that moment either text each other or call each other. And that's how we know it's an important thing. But I tell her at Friday, by the time I go home and you go home, that's your time off. You enjoy it with your family. And we made sure to do that. And then we even set times for the evenings on if you needed me or I needed her, what would it be a great time to either stop the conversation and where it could go on to the next day, or if it was really important, this is what you're going to do. You're going to text me at this time, or you're going to call me at this time. Or if she does call, then I know at that moment it's important. So we set up those times with each other to make sure we were intentional on not necessarily bothering each other, but more of that, having that open communication, but knowing that there is a boundary of personal life and school life.
Like she said, we communicate through text, but we also communicate in the classroom when the kids are on break, like specials. That's when we also do our working. We make changes if we need at that time, and we just try to stay on task. And I think it's good that it was helpful setting up those parameters because it also gave me time for, I have school and then I have work. So it gave me parameters to know that at that time I would be able to be with my kids and just spend time with them. But I just like that I know if I had a question or had trouble with school, she was available to answer that and it wouldn't bother her.
All right, we're going to pause right there. So if we want to go ahead and come off mute, and then let's just talk about some of the relationships and communication pieces that we saw within those videos, in that video clip. What are some things that resonated with us?
It seemed like they had a really great sense of community and support, and just even their expressions on their face when they're talking about different situations. It's like they're feeling the brain waves, you know, and they know exactly what each other is talking about. And so that was really nice to see that rapport and just how it came through in the video.
Tiffany, I'm so glad you said that. I absolutely felt that when I was doing these interviews, like just the way that they would look at each other, and like you said, they were connected. It was. I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that is such an important piece. Having that rapport, building that respect and that productive relationship right from the very beginning, because it is so important because they are working so closely together. Anyone else want to come off mute on this one? All right, we're going to go ahead and continue going then. If you can go ahead and move us forward. The other thing is as she's going back into the next one, which is if you go ahead and click on your Jamboard, you'll see challenges and potential pitfalls. That'll be on slide 3 on your Jamboard. Somebody did ask a question if these MCLs featured in the video are full release or partial release. They're all partial release. So they are still in the classroom with their students, and they have an opportunity to be able to go out and to be able to have that coaching support as well. So, all right, so let's head into the challenges and potential pitfalls.
As much as this is a fabulous opportunity, having it introduced this year of all years has been a challenge in itself. I had all these great ideas, you know, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And I'm still, you know, things are rocking and rolling, going pretty well on my end because I'm on campus and my teachers are on campus and knock on wood have been healthy. So I'm able to go into their classrooms. but I'm not able to have as much student interaction as I want. I want to be in their classroom and watch them work with kids in small group and be able to pull a small group myself and work with them. But now being pushed behind a computer screen, and how we teach simultaneously. So I've got 19 kids online and 8 kids in class. I'm tied to my desk. We're all kind of tied to our desk now versus being able to get up and walk around. And I'm very animated and I do a lot of hands-on things, and it's just not that world anymore. I would say some of the biggest challenges though have just been presented with the pandemic is how do you meet the needs effectively of all these kids when you don't have all your kids? How do you effectively disaggregate data and look at where we're really lacking when so many students didn't log in and take the test?
As an MCL, I feel it's important to protect that time that she and I has together and that communication. But additionally, we need to protect that she's not being pulled other places on campus, that the campus as well as the district understand what a TR is and what they're on campus for. Because if we're pulling the TR to cover a random spot, that's actually diminishing what their purpose is as far as being productive in their role.
For me, I know one of the things is once we get that label of a multi-classroom leader, it automatically thinks, or our principals automatically think, we can then become a leader for any other job you need me to. I can be the team lead. I can be the lead on a leadership team. So then it takes me away from my role and being in the classroom to help my teacher resident.
2 classes. So our classes are 50 minutes. So I teach 2 classes a day.
Right,
I do lead an MCL.
We're going to go ahead and pause for a moment again. Thank you, Nicole.
Yep.
So if anyone wants to come off mute, I heard a couple. First of all, whoever did the image, fantastic. I love it. Plan A, Plan B, and we're still on Plan C. That's exactly where it feels like for 2020 right now. But if you want to go ahead and come off mute and talk a little bit about the challenges and potential pitfalls that we heard from our MCLs and residents.
So this is not something that we heard from the video, but something I'm curious about, and that is the potential challenges for the other team teachers that are taking on additional students.
Yeah, that is, and let me put that on there. I think that is something that could be challenging. And I think that role clarity and having that additional training and support to be able to see what that is going to look like, what that's going to sound like is really important at the school level as well. And I didn't hear that from anyone on the video, and I haven't heard it yet, but you're right. That's definitely something to note that could be a challenge. And how could we avoid it being a potential pitfall as well? Anyone else for challenges or potential pitfalls that they heard during that video segment?
Well, the only thing I'll reiterate is if we can implement this during a pandemic, we can do anything. So
that's true. That is very true, Chris. That's absolutely true. Something that really resonated with me on this one was just the role clarity. The role clarity in terms of ensuring that the resident was not being used as like a sub, that they were really being used so that they could learn and that they could get the support and the high quality coaching and the feedback that they need to be able to move forward in their career, along with the role of even the MCL, that they're not taking on too much because it's important to be able to really concentrate on this important role as well. So great. Anyone else before we move forward? Okay, perfect. Then we'll hop back over to the video. And again, if you want to go to slide 4 on your A Day in the Life of an MCL Resident, you'll be able to jot down some notes there as well.
A PLC meeting every day with my team for another hour. And then in the afternoons, what I do is I spend the last 4 hours of my day either coaching by observing. A lot of times I spend in classrooms doing observations. After each observation, a couple of days later, I write up a form and I debrief with those teachers. Here's what I saw. Here's goals for the next meeting. Our lesson planning is all done within our PLCs, so that helps. I spend a lot of time, especially after testing, on data, pulling data for each of my team members.
4 of us plan together, and Cassandra's part of that, where she offers the ideas, but she gets to hear where our thoughts are as experienced teachers and where we want the students to go. So she's getting to listen to those experiences that we've had in the past and where she needs to take them when she's instructing herself. And then also the paperwork, you know, where we're showing the questions, where we're showing the TEKs, planning backwards. We always start planning backwards. And so she's gotten that experience where she can independently now take a document, start with the backwards doc, go in, do the questions, look at what questions we're going to test so that that assessment is there. And I really think that's helped with her lesson planning herself as well, because matching that TEK to the objective, to the student activity, to the assessment is an area where she's grown tremendously.
It's important that as a teacher resident that we get to see observations, like observing and one teach, one observe, and co-teaching before we're just okay, you're gonna teach this today, and it's like, teach how? So I'm excited and happy that I have a whole team that are teaching me how to do it, and then letting me try it on my own. That's how I learn. I learn by watching it and then being given a chance to do it on my own with their tips on how to progress from there. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so now,
and she's currently doing a majority of the teaching. And so the MCL or the TRT at this point is actually just being the support person. So we've actually swapped the roles. She's already taking the classroom and deciding what math-wise, even though I lesson plan in the book and we lesson plan as a team, she's making the decision as to what the students are going to specifically do that day and how they do it within those rounds of that. And so the teacher that's with her is just offering support. And like I said earlier, she actually sometimes has 3 people in the room. And so, and it works really great. One of the things that Cassandra's really good at is we can walk by, and while the students are working, she's got them doing something, we can walk by and make a suggestion about whether it's teacher radar, whether it's the curriculum, whether, you know, whatever. And so it's immediate real-time feedback, and she immediately puts that into place and does it herself. And so that's another benefit about co-teaching, is you're getting the feedback right then and you're making those adjustments right then.
We come to the classroom, we get ready for the day, we talk about, hey, let's go over what we're doing today. Let's go over the TEK, let's go over the lesson, what are the worksheets, what do they look like? Amber's been really great. She's gotten comfortable with our spiral review. So she starts with that and does that with the students. And the students already know at this point, spiral review. We have kind of like roles where who starts, who does what, who does the talking, monitoring me, observing me, writing notes down, watching what I was saying, watching what I was doing. So then by the time that I left in the second class or the third class, she was able to do those classes on her own, which gave me the opportunity to leave and to go do my coaching and do my observing of the other teachers. And then if she had an issue or she had a question, she couldn't remember something, she would shoot me a text message, which was great because then I could give her that instant feedback at that moment. And I made sure to not leave for long periods of time either. And I would come back.
So there's one more segment that you will have access to afterwards, but it's their why and any advice that they'd give. I encourage you, if you want to be able to know a little bit more, hop back in that link, but I don't want to make you late for a break. I know we only have 15 minutes for a break, so I want to make sure that I honor that time. But as we start to wrap up, Nicole, if you could head back over to our PowerPoint slides, that would be fantastic. And I want to just ask, from everything that you've seen in terms of the benefits of the challenges and potential pitfalls, the way that they create and establish these relationships, and the intentional communication, to what we just heard about in terms of the day in the life. What's one action you might commit to taking to as a result of anything that you heard about in this session? Or who at your organization are you committed to sharing this new information with at the conclusion of the symposium? So anything that you heard that might resonate with you that you might want to be able to bring back and continue to have conversations around. So I'll give you just a minute to be able to answer one of those questions in the chat. Nice. I see that Belinda wants to be able to share this with faculties, especially the mentors, and looking at the grows and glows of this partnership and how it's different from traditional student teachers. So again, I want to thank all of you for attending this session today. This was something that was really close to my heart, because I really wanted to be able to bring their voices to the table, because they're the ones that are actually living this. They're the ones that are actually breathing this work. And so I am so thankful that they were able to be part of this session, even though it was through video. So Nicole, if you want to bring up the next slide. So we're going to head into a break, but before going to break, we ask that you would join session 2. That way you're already where you need to go. Nicole is going to put the appropriate link in our chat, so that you can head over to that breakout now, and then you can just mute and go off camera. But I just want to thank all of you for joining us today during this time together to be able to hear directly from mentor or MCLs and residents in Midland and Ector County. Thank you so
all.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thanks a
everyone.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Lucy, it is always good to see you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Lucy.
Good seeing Nicole. I saw you the whole time on there. Aren't you surprised I didn't ask questions?